Life slips through our fingers so fast it's almost impossible to notice until a stark reminder jolts us awake. Maybe it's a birthday where you realize an entire year vanished in the blink of an eye. Or maybe it's the memory of a friend you haven't seen for ages, suddenly popping into your mind and making you wonder where the time went. The truth is, none of us get unlimited days, and the average person may only live around 30,000 of them. If you've already counted several thousand, does that worry you? Don't panic just yet. Today, we're uncovering how to shift from mindlessly drifting through time to living each moment with razor sharp purpose. You might have heard all sorts of advice about time management, but this goes deeper than daily planners or phone reminders. We'll dive into how your brain actually perceives time, why you're busier than ever but somehow getting less done, and how you can make each hour count without sacrificing your sanity. If you're ready to discover the secrets behind time perception, emotional resilience, and building a life that truly matters, keep watching. You'll walk away knowing exactly how to reclaim control over your life's most precious currency. Have you ever noticed how childhood summers felt never ending, but now entire months vanish before you can even plan your next weekend? This odd shift isn't just nostalgia. Scientists call it a time perception phenomenon, and it revolves around how your brain processes new experiences. When you're young, nearly everything is unfamiliar. Every day brings something new, whether it's learning to ride a bike or discovering a weird bug in the backyard. New experiences force your brain to pay closer attention, which makes time feel slower. As you get older, routine takes over. You travel the same roads to work, talk to the same people, watch similar shows, and eat at the same restaurants. Your brain goes into autopilot because it's seen it all before. The result? Time zips by in a flash because there's nothing novel to bookmark in your memory. Some people call this phenomenon time blindness, and it's a hidden culprit behind the sensation that life speeds up as you age. But here's the catch. You can hack this system. Even small changes like taking a new route to the grocery store or exploring a different hobby can make your brain snap to attention, stretching your sense of time. Trying a fresh recipe, having a 5-minute conversation with someone you've never chatted with before, or picking up an unusual weekend project, these moves can all create a sense of newness. And that newness is exactly what slows down your perception of time, making you feel like you actually have more of it. It's not just about tricking your brain, though. There's a scientific debate about how we overestimate daily tasks, but underestimate annual or long-term goals. You might think you can accomplish 1,000 little chores in a single day, then feel frustrated when you barely cross off half your list. Meanwhile, you forget that focusing consistently on a single big goal for a year can change your entire life. Many experts insist this mismatch is why people give up too soon. They load their to-do list with short-term plans that never happen, instead of focusing on steady progress over weeks and months. The result is a vague sense of panic that time is slipping away. But remember, once you know how these illusions work, you can turn them into your advantage. Stay open to new experiences, pace yourself on big ambitions, and watch how differently time begins to feel. But having a better sense of time means nothing if you're filling your days with tasks that lead nowhere. There's a powerful myth that busy equals important. We love to brag about being too busy to rest, too busy to read, too busy to see friends. But busyness doesn't always equal productivity. Yes, you might zip from one task to another, but are you actually moving closer to a meaningful goal? Some blame the rise of hustle culture for this confusion. Work 16 hours a day, they say, and you'll be successful. But many critics argue that this mentality leads straight to burnout, not greatness. Instead of examining which tasks matter, people stuff their schedules with everything. Before you know it, your calendar looks like a multi-layered puzzle. You might feel accomplished, but in reality, you're running in circles. Imagine stepping back and looking at your day through a lens called the deathbed test. At 90 years old, will you care that you answered every email within 2 minutes? Will it matter that you spent an extra hour editing that spreadsheet nobody reads? Or would you regret not taking your child to the park or skipping a phone call with an old friend? Priorities snap into focus when you think of time as finite. Still, we live in a world where urgent tasks often drown out the important ones. That urgent email, it grabs your attention right now. That important workout routine or meaningful conversation with a loved one. Well, those can wait. This constant state of urgency hijacks your time, leaving you too exhausted to do the things that truly matter. The secret, some say, is to practice what's called ruthless elimination. Instead of adding more tasks to your day, start crossing off the ones that don't move you forward. Draw a line between what absolutely matters and what's merely busy work. It's tough to say no, but every unnecessary task you accept is a little slice of life you're never getting back. But there's another sneaky trap that steals your life in tiny increments. It's the word someday. Someday, I'll start that business. Someday, I'll travel the world. Someday, I'll learn to paint. We've all done it, pushing dreams into an imaginary future where time and energy are magically unlimited. But that future rarely arrives on its own. Real life is messy. Responsibilities pop up, emergencies happen, and the sheer weight of routine can bury those someday plans. The controversial part? Many motivational voices say just do it now, which can feel dismissive if you're juggling a full-time job, family obligations, or limited resources. Even so, delaying forever is riskier. Every time you say, maybe next month, or once I'm not so busy, you teach your brain that later is always an option. But later can turn into never. Picture each postponed dream like an unpaid bill that grows interest charges over time. The cost? A life of regrets. People who constantly say someday often look back and realize they've run out of tomorrows. The key is taking small but decisive steps. Instead of setting yourself up for failure with an all-or-nothing approach, try a 5-minute rule. Work on your dream for 5 minutes just to start. You'll discover that beginning is the hardest part. Once you're in motion, the momentum often keeps you going. Next thing you know, a small daily action transforms into a lifelong passion. Of course, no dream is complete without the right people by your side. That's where relationships become a major piece of the puzzle. Have you ever heard someone say, "I'm too busy to socialize"? Sure, we all have. But the irony is that healthy relationships actually help you slow down and enjoy life more. Think of each friendship and family bond like a mini time machine. Shared experiences, funny stories, and emotional support can make even the shortest moments feel full of life. There's a debate going on right now about whether social media has tricked us into replacing real connections with digital friends. Some argue that liking posts and sending quick messages gives an illusion of closeness without the real warmth of face-to-face interaction. Others say it's made it easier to keep in touch with relatives across the globe. Whichever side you're on, it's obvious that scrolling through your feed for hours can devour precious time and might not give you the depth of bonding that truly renews your spirit. Building strong relationships doesn't always mean grand gestures or expensive gifts. It's the daily, seemingly tiny deposits that count. Asking your coworker how they're really doing, sending a heartfelt text to a distant cousin, or being a reliable shoulder for a friend during tough times. It's these small moments that compound into real trust and loyalty. Even more surprising is how helping others can expand your own sense of time. Studies suggest that volunteering or doing kind acts can make people feel like they have more time, not less. It's a paradox. The more you give, the more you feel you have. Maybe it's because you see the direct impact of your actions, or because a deep sense of purpose invigorates you to live more fully. But in a world that glorifies endless work, how do we balance caring for others with our own ambitions? Let's pull back the curtain on the hustle myth. On rise and grind might be the loudest message out there. You'll see motivational posters telling you to skip sleep, skip vacations, and work relentlessly until you make it. While there's value in working hard, many critics say hustle culture can become a race with no finish line. Why is it so alluring? Maybe because it promises big rewards. You imagine climbing the corporate ladder or generating massive wealth. Yet, if you're always pushing your body and mind to the brink, you might crash before you reach the peak. Burnout has become a major buzzword, and for good reason. People are realizing that a life locked in go mode doesn't just damage their health, it can ruin their relationships, creativity, and overall happiness. Think of hustle as a high-speed treadmill. Running fast might impress people at first, but if you never step off, you won't have the energy to enjoy the results. And ironically, taking breaks or sleeping well can boost your long-term productivity more than pulling endless all-nighters. Another hidden cost of nonstop hustle is losing sight of why you started. We can get so wrapped up in achievements, promotions, raises, new clients, that we forget the bigger vision that motivated us in the first place. True success includes having time and space to appreciate it. But even if you slow down enough to smell the roses, emotional obstacles can still sabotage your efforts. Let's see how mastering emotions can reshape your experience of time. Emotions can act like invisible clocks in our bodies. Anger, fear, excitement, and joy can stretch or compress our sense of time in surprising ways. For example, a short conflict with someone can feel like it lasts forever, while an entire day of bliss can seem to vanish in a snap. Research suggests that the first surge of any emotion, from fury to anxiety, lasts only about a minute and a half. After that, staying in that emotional state becomes a choice, even if it doesn't feel like one. Of course, many events are too complex to resolve in 90 seconds, but understanding that emotions have natural lifespans can help you step back and respond wisely, rather than staying stuck in a downward spiral. Emotional intelligence is about more than controlling negative feelings. It's also about sharing vulnerability in a healthy way. Some folks think being vulnerable equals weakness, but done right, it creates trust. You can't build a meaningful bond with someone if you're always pretending everything is perfect. Difficult conversations are another challenge. People often avoid them, hoping problems will magically disappear. Instead, these issues grow larger the longer they're ignored, like a tiny snowball rolling downhill into an avalanche. Addressing issues early protects your precious time from the drama that comes from unresolved tension. Emotions and relationships shape your personal world, but how do you tie them into a bigger life mission that makes every day feel worthwhile? Let's explore the heart of a purposeful life. What do you want to be remembered for? It sounds like a heavy question, but having an answer can transform how you spend your hours right now. Purpose is the compass that guides you through daily decisions, big or small. Without it, life can feel like a scattered mess of random tasks. Some people argue that finding your purpose is a luxury not everyone can afford, but others say it's as essential as food and water for your emotional health. One approach is to see purpose as something you build rather than magically discover. Try new hobbies, test out different career paths, and pay attention to what energizes you. Purpose emerges in action, not in endless planning or daydreaming. Aligning your activities with your values is also key. For instance, if you value creativity, set aside time to write, draw, or learn an instrument, rather than waiting for the mythical free weekend that never seems to arrive. If family ranks highest on your list, block off time for them first before everything else fills your calendar. Purpose isn't meant to be static. As you grow and change, what lights you up can evolve. Stay curious, adapt, and regularly check in with yourself. Ask, does what I'm doing match who I want to become? Now that we've seen why time perception, relationships, hustle, and purpose matter, how do we bring it all together in a way that truly transforms how we live? There you have it, a journey through the hidden forces that shape our sense of time and the quality of our daily lives. We started by tackling the brain's strange way of measuring hours, then exposed the myth that busyness automatically means progress. We confronted the someday trap, explored the power of true relationships, and questioned the hustle obsession that can lead to burnout. Along the way, we saw how emotional resilience forms the foundation for building a purposeful life. If there's one thing to remember above all, it's that life is short, but it doesn't have to feel like it's slipping away. By consciously introducing fresh experiences, trimming pointless tasks, and honoring your real priorities, you can stretch your sense of time and fill each day with meaning. Here's your call to action. Pick one concept from this video. Maybe it's adding a new hobby, having a tough conversation you've been avoiding, or setting aside real quality time for someone you love. Start today, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Because whether you realize it or not, those 5 minutes might reshape everything else in your life. Time is a resource that's both limited and priceless. Use it or lose it. But if you choose to use it, you just might discover that it can expand in ways you never imagined. Thank you for watching, and may you find the courage to live each day as if it truly matters.